This is February 22nd, 2021, and I'm on the corner of my property. It's a beautiful day. We're going to have another beautiful day. It probably got down into the 40s last night. But I'm at the corner of my property. My friend Gene lives here. And the signature hole for the golf course is straight ahead behind that waste can. That's the 6th hole. It's a par 3. And why I'm starting here is this is rework. The stack right here services the left side of the patio roof. And about a month or two ago, I ran this, if we can see it, there it is. I ran that 3-inch flexible line, and this is how I married it in. This is how I transitioned it. If you can see, where is it? Where's the stack? Having trouble finding it. Right there. Okay, that's how I transitioned. I went from this rectangle into that, and then had to have an adapter, and I went into this. And this is solid 3-inch pipe. There's no perforations in it. And what happened was I planted these Italian cypress about last year. It was like last year going into the summer. They were on sale for $7 a piece, I think, at Walmart or Lowe's. So I bought like 15 of them, and I just struck a line, and I planted them in the ground. I real hurriedly, without really spending a lot of time and effort, ran the irrigation emitter lines. Well, just as we were going into the summer, just around the middle of June or approaching July, all the emitters went out, and they were leaking, and it was just too hot to get out here. It would have been uncovering everything to try to get to them. So I dedicated myself to trying to keep them watered, and I turned off the system all summer long, and I tried to keep all the plants in this yard alive by watering. And so we'll walk down here, and I'll show you what I've been working on as far as my property and my property line. These 3 plants, that one right there, this one, that one right there, and that one right there were all replanted yesterday. I may lose them. They might be lost, but we put plenty of water. I worked on they were here. They were right there. I took them out of here. And I ran all new line, and it's working. I have to cover it up, and I have to recover this line. But all these bags you see here, and this little bunker arrangement, those bags are made of sunbrella material and landscape fabric. I sew them myself. They're like 3 feet by 17 inches. Okay, and I fill them up with pea gravel. And I'm making a raised spot where I can watch the golf course, where I can sit. If you'll notice, the golf course has their white stake right there. Okay? That means that I'm dealing with people walking up to my property line every day, looking for their ball. And because of where the tee box is right there, we have a lot of beginner golfers. That tee box is not only for old seasoned golfers who are part of the men's club that start off every morning, and I'm pretty safe because they're not punching over their weight. They finally got to the point in their golf game where they don't have the vanity anymore to have to play the long tees. They're trying to protect their average. They go up, they play the silver tees. I don't worry about getting hit from this group. The problem I have is with the brand new beginner, novice, amateur, homegrown in everything, homegrown in their etiquette on a golf course, homegrown in their swing, homegrown in their approach to the game. I think I've been playing golf, or I haven't played golf in 5 years. Once I found out what the politics of golf is and the business of golf is, I quit playing it. I don't want anything to do with the game. But what happens is the human factor as it applies to golf, and anybody that's ever been in any industrial situation where there's heavy machinery, where there's pinch points, electrocution points, crush points, any kind of danger where people can get hurt on the job, they usually have an intense safety program. You're always reminded of the safety. And when you break up your meeting every morning, usually every week or every month there's a bulletin comes out of how somebody lost a finger or lost an eye or got his hand crushed or maybe even killed because he ignored safety. He ignored the rule of what can happen will happen. Now, the golf concessionaires running this golf course, I don't think have ever had a safety briefing in their life. Their briefing is, you don't give up. You don't give up any ground. Now, day in and day out, I've got golfers, and I'll tell you a situation. This is a perfect situation. I was sitting in those chairs, right, the patio chair where you eat, not the Adirondack, the ones behind yesterday, and a ball landed right in front of that tree, that little bushy tree right there. The ball landed there from the front of those long tees. Okay, it came and landed there. So I saw the group, and they hit a bunch more shots. I don't know where they went, but everybody hit 1 or 2 shots. Well, anyway, I sit there and I go, well, what's going to happen here? Are these guys going to come for this ball? Well, as they were driving up, they could see me sitting on the patio. So they knew, you know, like that ball, he's sitting right there. But I didn't know they had hit several balls. Well, one went up against my plants. One rolled up here against my plants. I couldn't see it. And it was on course because look where the white stakes are. They can play right up to my white stakes. That's all playing area. And let me remind you, this area that's between the cart path and my property line gets absolutely no maintenance from the golf course. They might come up here and spray, that's it, but absolutely no maintenance. These 2 trees in front of me haven't been touched in 2 years. They don't trim them. They don't touch them. That one barely gets touched. But, so to continue, yesterday, I sit in my chair, so I see the guy get out of the cart, right about down there where that box is, that sitting area, and they started walking up to this property line. And I didn't know the guy had put one up against my plants. He had put one at the base of my plants, and he was walking directly toward my property. And so I got up. I stood up. And when I stood up, I could see the other guy in the golf cart. was heading for that white ball over there. You'll see that white ball. There's a ball. It's white. That's the one his partner hit, and he was making a beeline for that ball. And just as he got to them rocks and about to cross, that's when I came over and said, hey, that's private property. You got no business walking on it. And the other guy, I thought he was looking for this first ball, and he was approaching these plants. So I said, that's far enough. He said, well, my ball's right here at the bottom of the plants. And they let you know. These golf, I call them golf mercenaries or golf, the people who stormed the Capitol. They're like that. Every golfer here thinks that it's completely harmless to walk on to somebody's property to recover a ball, even if it's on their patio. It could be between their houses. And these young golfers have been programmed and taught, and the reason they have this misconception is because there's nowhere in Sundance, nowhere. There isn't one marshal, there isn't one sign, there isn't one tee box, there isn't anything on the scorecard that indicates that you're playing golf in a glass slipper. Okay? 16 years ago when they opened up this place and there was no houses, the only houses were those models over there. They laid out this golf course as a grip and rip champion, narrow, long championship grip and rip course. That's the way it was laid out. And for about 3 years, they got away with these lots up here. There wasn't a house up here. There wasn't even ground broken up here for a house for like 2 or 3 years. So the people who never played golf in their life and started playing golf here in Buckeye, got used to the fact that, hey, we can go to the longest tees, we can grip and rip, we can hit as many balls as we want. There's nobody here. It's really a driving range practice facility. And if we put a ball up on one of those yards, we have perfect right to drive up into that yard with our golf cart because there's nothing up there. This was the original layout here, which was fine. Perfect. It drew a lot of people. Everybody loved it. I loved it. I couldn't believe I could come out here and get 3 buffet dinners in one day and about 2 rounds of golf in one day for $16. And it used to be that. So it was golf heaven for me for a while. But I fell in love with it the first day I saw it. And I have a lien against my property. What I consider as a golfer that's been playing golf, played golf for about 55 years, I feel like I have a lien or a penalty assigned to this lot because from day one, the way this golf course has been set up, the 5th hole, for the drive on the 5th hole, and for the tee shot on this hole, my lot is probably the most penalized lot in the community on the course. That's why they put those white stakes there. I wrote a complaint to the HOA. The HOA wrote me, or they had once in a letter, a questionnaire. What can be done to improve the situation here? And I wrote that I have people in my yard day in and day out. I'm plagued with foul balls from those tee boxes because not one professional here or architect or manager of the golf shop has the imagination, or if they do, they're willfully ignorant of the situation I'm in. We have beginners. We have old timers. I don't like taking videos of golfers. I would resent somebody taking a video of my golf game, but I'm trying to get across to the community, to the HOA, to the police department, to the governor, the attorney general, the sheriff, or whatever. This isn't right, okay? I have equity here. This is my property. I have visitors. I can't plan on throwing a party for children on the weekend here, because that's when the long tees get used. Usually during the week, it's this short tee. This senior tee gets a lot of use, because during the week it's all the old retired guys that want to get their 9 or 18 holes out of the way, and they play the short tees, and they're trying to protect their average, and they have no ego anymore. The human factor is has finally set in with these guys that are middle-aged and beyond golfers. But the young men with vanity want to go back to that long tee on the weekend. And on the weekend, that's when the young men out of the offices, the men that's been in a cubicle, or they've been selling cars all week, or they've been on a machine all week, or whatever they've done all week, they've been dreaming of hitting long, glorious drives on this golf course. And that's all they care about. We got designated hitter golfers on this golf course. They're designated hitters. A chip to me is a bunt. Being able to hit a pitched shot is being able to steal a base or take a proper lead off a base. Being able to fly one in, or making a long putt, reading an undulating green, making a long putt, either uphill or downhill, from about 75 feet away, and have a one putt left for a par, one putt sure putt left for a par. That kind of game is the game you need to score, and I don't see that game from young men back on that tee. First of all, the pace of play here is ridiculous. When you get 4 very young, very strong, 6 foot plus, 200 pounds plus, and they have pretty good club head speed. You can tell by the swing they're making. They're generating a lot of club head speed. Now, going back to safety. The clubhouse, for you not to realize that day in and day out, people hit bad shots. And to put those tee boxes within range of my house every day. Every day. This is my living space. I pay taxes on this property. I pay dues on this property. These properties are my wife and children. I don't like people coming in and gawking at my property. If your ball lands on my property, ooh, gots, too bad. Oh, well. You got back on the farthest tee back there where those roofs are, that long tee. You're like almost 180 yards. If they put the pin back, you're over 185 yards from the pin. And you got back there people that can't even hit a pitch shot. They can't make a chip. They can't make a long putt. They hit 4 balls and they spend 5 minutes looking for 3 of the 4 balls, while their other one sits fallow down there waiting for them to collect the other 3 balls. Now they go down and it's 5 shots to get in the hole from the bailout area down there, because they don't know how to play the game. They can't play small ball. And when they get in the clubhouse and they're having their beers with their friends, they're satisfied that all day long, at least by the 3rd ball that I hit off the tee, I was always the longest one. I was always the longest driver by at least the 3rd ball off the tee. And I walked in 5 properties and busted 3 windows. What a great day of golf. What'd you score? What'd you score? What'd you score for all that? You hit 3 balls off every tee. You took an 8 on number 6. After you hit, if you were to score it properly, you took a 12 on it. So your bragging rights while you're having a drink with your buddies that you were the longest guy off the tee all day. Glad you bought that driver, that wonder driver, that $450 driver. And the first lesson you ever took was not how to sink a putt or make a chip shot or a pitch shot or a sand trap or a lob shot or any kind of shot that would get the ball close to the pin. The first lesson you wanted from a pro was, how do I hit this thing 300 yards? And the pro takes him out, and if he has a 1 out of 10 for success, if he hits 1 out of 10 straight, that's all the kid cares about. If I can get 1 out of 10 where I hit it straight and I outdrove everybody, he's a nuisance on the golf course. Golfers like that should be a nuisance. And this layout is a nuisance layout because those golfers here at Sundance aren't policed. This is allowed to happen day in and day out. That's why day in and day out I'm dealing with foul balls. Now, I don't like taking movies, but here's I've already seen what's happening. The people come up here. If I'm sitting here or standing here talking to somebody, the women's tee box is right there about 75 feet away, 80 feet away from the... I can't have a conversation without disturbing the ladies' tee box. You understand? I'm penalized. And at any time, a golfer, I can see him making a beeline for my property, looking into my property the whole time, like that guy yesterday. As he was walking up here, he knew there was another ball up here. He knew that 3 balls got hit up here, so he was looking and heading for his ball that was right here. Okay? And I get in these confrontations. This is human chafing. This is golf chafes. I shouldn't have to deal with this. I didn't buy this property to be the landing area, to be the penalty box for some golf pros that think I'm expendable. His windows, his loved ones, his property is expendable. We know. Of course we know. We're golf pros. We've seen every bad shot that can be made. We know the amateurs and beginners are going to be hitting bad shots, and they're going to be hitting them in his yard. That's why we put the white stakes there, so people could come up and walk right up to the white stakes to see if my ball is in their yard. You're giving these people an opportunity to reconnoiter my yard. If you put the stakes out there where that tree is, they don't belong looking at my yard. If they're outside the stakes, now you've got a proper golf course. You're using your property for out of bounds instead of using my property for out of bounds. Anybody get that? You're using my property for out of bounds. So I should be able, when I get done with this little project, to do the same thing. I'm going to use my property right up to the property line. I'm going to have a chair there. I might be playing a radio. And I think I bought this property because of where it was. Where it was. It was overlooking the lake. And I got here first. And I outbid all the locals. From what I hear, every local here had a bid. Had a bid for this property, lower price, but it was a lower price than what Meritage was asking. I came in and took their price and bought. I've been hated ever since. You shouldn't hate me. You should hate the realtors that told you that these lots weren't worth $25,000 18 years ago. You took it out on me instead of taking it out on the realtors that more or less misled you. Couldn't see the forest for the trees, never been in a hot market before. I got off the plane, took a half an hour ride, took one look, and I said, how many can I buy? And that's a direct quote. How many can I buy at this price? I've been hated ever since. Talk about townie. But anyway, here we are. I got to grade the lot. My lots are all tore up. This is a brand new irrigation line. I transitioned from the plastic, half-inch plastic, to this, and that's all upgraded for this. these plants on this side, but all this has to be regraded. All this has to be regraded, and I've been working on it now all summer. I started in May. This is what you're looking at now, and I'm going to be working with all day, are water levels. Okay, that hose right there is a 50-foot hose hooked up to two twins, and these two twins have got measurement graduations on them in inches and I think millimeters, okay, and inches. And you fill it up with water until you get a water level. You try to get it right in the middle of the scale where my finger is. And you can measure drop, and it's very accurate, to within 1/8 of an inch. So I've got 50 foot of hose. So the reason, what I'm going to be doing today is I first have to explain. I'll first explain when I bought in here 16 years ago. I bought that house first, and when it was framed up and I came down to pick the interior stuff, these two lots were still open. So I inquired, and the guy says, if you want to bid on them, bid on them. If you can get the financing. So I bid on these two lots. I closed that house on August 30th, 2004. I closed these two houses here on the 13th of October 2004, about a month and a half later, because they got a month and a half, 2 months later start. Well, these three houses were built for me by the builder and permitted by the town of Buckeye. And there's a few deficiencies. I won't go into them now, but to continue here, there's a lot of deficiencies with these properties. One of them was surface water drainage off the lot. I'm having a hell of a time convincing my neighbor that he bought a lot that was built for me, and they built it wrong. Where you see that plant right there and you see that patio right there, that plant is probably sits 2 to 3 inches above that patio. If I got my water levels out, we'd have at least a 2 or 3 inch. And that berm ran all the way across all three lots to where I just was with the Italian cypress. You can see the neighbor's lot has a berm, and this lot has a berm. I took my berm out. I paid an excavator $3,000. He came in with a bobcat, and he was taking loads of dirt in an end loader to the street and loading a big truck. He took probably 100 cubic yards of dirt off these two lots, where before I had a berm, just like this lot here that went uphill from the patio. I had to break that cycle. If you can see now, the land drops away from the patio. It used to go uphill. Where that gold plant was, that gold plant used to sit about, I had to replant it, but after we scraped all the dirt off, I had to go back and replant everything. But where that gold plant was used to sit about 3 or 4 inches above the patio. And there was a berm that ran this little ditch here where you see I have my irrigation. There was a berm there that was higher than the patio, all the way across, higher than the patio and higher than my other lot. And the same thing was happening here. They built it that way on purpose, to protect the golf course from severe storm drainage. Now, what I have to do today is I have to try to get the water to go both ways. I've put a lot of sand and dirt in here. I'm going to get the water levels out. I'm going to try to build it up here, right here. The higher I can get it here, this is going to be the starting point going both ways. This is the corner of this. The corner of this is going to be the starting point. Alright? And I got to make it a high point, and I'm going to have the water levels, and I'm going to try to make an even drop. I'm also going to take a 5-inch or 5 foot or 6 foot board with a level, and I'm going to keep pulling the sand away to make a graduated drop. I want to make sure that the drop and the elevation of it to get to this point. And I'm going to stay about 5 feet, 6 feet away from the pad. So I'm going to be pulling and raking and shaping, trying to shape a graduated drop from back there where the, and from that corner of the thing, the surround for the air conditioning, from that corner to the street is 66 feet. Okay? Now, one of my challenges is trying to, because they built this house for me, they made a shallow lake area to store water on the lot. Okay? They've got a pocket where when water comes off the house, the lot, before it can shed water onto the street, has to hold a couple inches of water. They built a retention basin here, and the only way it can, and no matter what, if we got 5 days of rain, you could get 2 inches of rain, a 2-inch puddle here every day, and have it soak in the ground. The next day, it'd take another one. And the water hasn't gone anywhere. It's still under the house. It's under the house. You get a 5 days of rain, and the water is, all it does is soak in. You got problems with termites. You got problems with rotted cement in the foundation. You got problems with the mud under the dirt under the foundation turns into like a slurry or a mud, which causes the foundation to shift. It's bad. Read any advertisement for gutters. Now, I've got gutters. I've done everything I can. I got gutters right here that are taking the water both from the patio roof to the golf course, and I got gutters here to take the water to the street. But everything here in between, what they did is they built a lake, a shallow saucer lake on the other property. When I owned it, if I would have known what I know now, I'd have this all tore up. All the rock would be tore up. But I'm up against this. I'm pushing this rock uphill with my neighbor. First of all, he can't believe. He refuses to believe that anybody would do this to me. Well, not only did they do it to me, they did it to him. All right. They made his lot a retention basin. I tried to fix it. That's why I'm going to be out here all day with my water levels, trying to get a consistent drop all the way to here, like right here, and then to the street. But we'll stop the video right here. I've had quite a spiel. But that's my challenges today, is to try to get the water levels out here, get them set up, get a certain distance from the house, and then pull this sand, whatever I have to do to pull the sand to where I've got it high there and low here, and then I'm going to cover it with landscape fabric and real sifted stone. This stone you're looking at here, this is the suppliers, what they call Sundance blend. You have to, whenever you get stone to the local supplier, you have to order the Sundance blend. Well, the last Sundance blend I got was loaded with sand and pebble and very little top rock. If you can see here, you don't see a lot of big rock in my neighbor's thing. That's, again, they built it for me. And I'm trying to convince everybody that how flawed the surface water drainage on this lot, and all he cares about is getting this thing re-rented. all the realtors are telling him that he can't rent it because it's my fault. Because I've got this all tore up. I'm trying to correct the situation. And I don't think I'll ever be able to correct the situation with the tee box. Okay, here I am on my patio. Now I'm going to walk out to where I'm going to be right in the middle of both houses. Now, to anybody who's ever played golf, anybody who's ever played golf with amateurs, unless you're playing golf with pros, you've seen shots hit to the right from places like this. Can anybody imagine? How about the police department? How about any other pros? How about people that play golf who've got 50 years of golf under their belt? Now, every time I challenge somebody that's starting to walk onto my property, these people, the first thing they do is they give me a lecture. I get the vigilante or the cowboy, the Wild West Valley golf lecture that, hey, you bought a house on a golf course. You bought a house on a golf course. You ought to expect this. Well, one thing I expect, accidents, true accidents that are true unintentional accidents. Now, for the golfer to hit the ball that broke my window, of course he didn't do it on purpose. Of course it was an accident. But for the golf concession that's running this place, that's no accident. That's no accident. Let's face it, that's your normal routine foul ball that I have to deal with day in and day out. Day in and day out, that's the lien that's put on my property. I have a lien put on my property by the golf course. Every one of those tees, the men's tees, the silver, the gold, and the black are in range of my house. I'm in range and downrange. In range and downrange. Now, when you apply that what can happen will happen, here we go. What can happen will happen. What can happen from that tees right there is somebody hits one off the toe. Somebody loses focus on the downswing. Somebody says something in the downswing, and the guy loses focus. And he nails one up into this yard while there's a bunch of kids partying up here. I'm trying to throw a birthday party in the yard, and all day long I've got young beginner golfers from them black tees back there who are designated hitters. They wouldn't be able to shoot under 100 from the executive tees. If you gave them, challenged them and said, I'll give you $200, this pro's going to watch you. We're going to have some judges go with you, score you. But we'll give you $100 and a free round of golf if you can break 100 from the executive tees. And I bet you won't ever have to worry about paying that $100 out, not to the group of people that you got playing on the weekends from them black tees. First of all, I watch them tie up the tee for like 15 minutes hitting 4 balls. Then they tie up the hole for another 15 minutes looking for the 3. And they've got their one down here. They finally put one in the bailout area. And after looking for their 3 balls up here and in the lake, fishing out of the lake, now they go up and they play their ball and they don't have a short game. They don't know how to take a lead off base. They don't know how to steal a base. They don't know how to bunt. They don't know how to field a simple grounder. Okay? They don't know where to throw the ball when they do field it. So that's the group of golfers we have now. Okay? That's the group of golfers. And when one of those golfers comes up to me and tells me it's only a golf ball, you ought to expect that. You live on a golf course. Well, if I lived on a real golf course with real golf pros, they'd fix this. They'd have a little empathy for the people that live here, and they'd be trying to develop some goodwill with the people who live here. Yeah, I'm going to post this on YouTube. I hope to send it out to some important VIPs here in Buckeye. This is just the beginning. All right? Thank you. Have a great day.